So, The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon Season 3 is almost here, and fans are already buzzing about what's coming next. And from the looks of it, we're about to see something pretty wild. Daryl and Carol basically swapping personalities compared to what we've seen before. Back in Season 2, before Carol even showed up, Daryl's spinoff had a totally different vibe. It was just him running around France, meeting this whole crew of French survivors, trying to figure out how to make it back to the States. But then Carol pops up in Europe, and boom, the whole energy shifts. Suddenly, the show is all about their bond again. Some characters even got killed off to make room for that focus. By the end of season 2, the two of them left France together, heading off a new adventure. But now, season 3 is looking like a complete role reversal. Here's the twist. In France, Daryl was the one forming friendships, protecting people, even finding romance. Carol, she wasn't there long enough to really care about the place. Now it's flipped. Season 3 seems to be setting her up to fall in love with Spain. While Daryl's like, yeah, let's just get home already. The trailer shows a ton of new characters, some sort of war brewing between groups, and Daryl's still doing the hero thing, but this time, his heart's not in sticking around. He literally tells Carol, we're always fighting everyone's fights. I just think we should get back home. And Carol fires back with, we can't just do nothing, which is interesting because she's usually not the one pushing to stay and help strangers. Maybe there's a certain someone in Spain catching her interest. Wouldn't be the first time romance changed someone's priorities in this show. Meanwhile, Daryl's whole thing has always been stepping in to save the vulnerable, like when he stayed in France to protect Laurent and Isabel. But now, he's basically just got America on his mind. It makes sense, though. He's been gone for ages, and with Laurent and Ash flying back to the US without him, he's probably worried sick about whether they made it safely. And honestly, this swap in attitude is a huge shakeup from season 2. Back then, Carol was all about getting out of the country, while Daryl was the one sticking around. Now it's the opposite. That's going to make for some interesting tension, especially if Carol starts pulling her usual clever, maybe slightly manipulative moves to keep them in Spain. If she blocks their chance to go home, yeah, Daryl's not going to take that lightly. Season 2 already showed us that Carol struggles when she keeps secrets from Daryl. She usually ends up confessing, so if she does scheme to make them stay, it'll probably blow up eventually. Still, their friendship has survived plenty of clashes, so odds are they'll work it out, but maybe not without a few heated moments. The bottom line, season 3 looks like it's going to feel totally different from the last two. New country, new conflicts, and a total personality swap for the show's two leads. Another thing worth pointing out is how much this role reversal could mess with the trust they've built over the years. Daryl and Carol have always been on the same wavelength when it comes to survival, even if they didn't always agree on the details. But if one of them is dead set on leaving and the other is determined to stay, it's only a matter of time before they're butting heads hard. That kind of tension isn't just about the mission, it's about who's calling the shots, and that's a line they've never fully had to cross until now. And let's be real, Spain isn't just some pit stop for these two. If the trailer is hinting at an all-out war between communities, then staying could mean diving headfirst into another long-term fight. For Daryl, that probably feels like deja vu after everything in France, Alexandria, and everywhere else he's been stuck playing hero. For Carol, though, maybe the fight feels new, a chance to make a difference in a place that isn't already destroyed by the same mistakes they've seen back home. There's also the matter of Carol's rumored new love interest. If that ends up being true, it's going to add a whole other layer to why she wants to stay. We've seen before that both Daryl and Carol get protective, sometimes even stubborn, when it comes to people they care about. If Carol finds herself attached to someone in Spain, it's not just about the war or the community anymore, it's personal. And Daryl? He's not exactly the type to get on board with staying somewhere just because somebody's caught feelings. We also can't ignore how much the Laurent and Isabel situation shaped Daryl in France. That storyline forced him to open up and form bonds in a way we hadn't seen in a while. But now, with Laurent heading back to the States, it's like Daryl's emotional anchor in Europe has been cut loose. Without that pull, the I want to go home side of Daryl is coming out strong, and I'm betting that's going to clash big time with Carol's let's stick around mindset. On top of all that, we might see Carol stepping into the role Daryl had last season, the one where you're the emotional center for a new group, the glue that holds things together. That could be a fascinating flip, because Carol's not usually the warm and fuzzy type with strangers. She's capable, strategic, and tough, but she doesn't go out of her way to connect unless she sees a reason. If season 3 gives her that reason, it could reveal a whole new side of her character. And then there's the bigger question. If they do stay in Spain for a while, what does that mean for the larger Walking Dead universe? The spin-offs so far have been teasing the idea of these characters eventually linking back up, whether it's with Maggie, Negan, or even Rick. But the more time Daryl spends overseas, the harder that's going to be. Unless season 3 sets up a clear path back, we could be in for another multi-season detour. Finally, the beauty of this setup is that no matter how much the two of them disagree, their history together makes it impossible to fully split. Even if Carol does something sneaky to keep them in Spain, or Daryl tries to ditch early, you know they're going to find a way back to having each other's backs. It's that mix of loyalty, stubbornness, and mutual respect that's kept their relationship one of the most interesting in the whole franchise. Season 3 might just be the first time that bond gets pushed to its absolute limits, and that's exactly the kind of drama fans are going to eat up. Another angle that's worth thinking about is how this shift might change the way other characters see Daryl and Carol. In France, Daryl was basically the guy everyone could count on to stick around and fight for them. If he's now the one saying, "We've done enough, let's go," it might make some new allies in Spain question his commitment. On the flip side, seeing Carol step up in ways she normally wouldn't could surprise a lot of people, maybe even earn her more trust and influence than she's had in a long time. Let's be honest, part of why this role swap is so interesting is because these two know each other too well. Carol's not just some random travel buddy Daryl met a few weeks ago. She can read him like a book, and he can do the same with her. So if either one tries to push their own agenda, whether it's staying in Spain or leaving, the other is going to spot it instantly. That's what makes the idea of Carol possibly scheming to keep them near so juicy. It's not just about the plan, it's about whether she can pull it off without Daryl calling her out. I also wouldn't be surprised if the writers use this season to really explore the emotional cost of being away from home for so long. Daryl's been overseas for what feels like forever now, and even though he's adaptable, there is no replacing that connection to his roots. Meanwhile, Carol's been moving around so much that maybe settling somewhere, even temporarily, feels like a relief. That difference in mindset is where the real friction is going to come from, not just the surface level stay or go argument. And in the end, no matter what happens, it feels like this season's going to put both of them in situations that force them to rethink who they are. Daryl might have to accept that sometimes staying and fighting is the right move, even if it's not home. Carol might have to admit that letting go and moving on is just as important as helping the people right in front of you. If they can both meet in the middle, maybe they'll come out stronger. If not, well, the road back to America could get a whole lot messier. But anyway, y'all, I'll see you in the next one.